March 14th, 2022. The northern outskirts of Irpin, 10 miles northwest of Kyiv. The air tastes of wet concrete and burning diesel. It is a grey, suffocating morning. But in the basement of a half-destroyed shopping complex, the war is loud, frantic, and digitized. Sergeant Mykola, callsign Raven, is not holding a rifle. He is hunched over a folding table, his face illuminated by the harsh blue glow of a Samsung tablet. His weapon is hovering 300 feet above the tree line outside a consumer-grade DJI Mavic 3, its plastic casing taped over to hide the LEDs. On his screen, the world is a pixelated wash of brown mud and grey trees. The wind is gusting hard, fighting the drone stabilizers. The connection stutters, the bitrate drops. "Steady," Mykola whispers, his thumbs trembling slightly on the joysticks. "I saw movement. Sector 4 to 7. Next to him, a radio operator is screaming into a handset, trying to shout over the thud of distant mortar fire. "Battery, this is Raven. We have eyes on potential armor. Grid square." "Wait," confirming Grid. "This is the bottleneck. This is where wars are lost." On the screen, a shape emerges from the pixelated noise. It's barely distinguishable from a rusted tractor or a pile of debris. Mykola squints, his eyes burning from 40 hours without sleep. He zooms in. The shape has a turret. It has the distinct, elongated chassis of a BTR-82A, a Russian armored personnel carrier. And it isn't alone. Behind it, heat signatures bloom the engines of 3 T-72 tanks idling in the tree line, barrels pointed toward the Ukrainian infantry dug into the road intersection below. "Contact," Mykola yells. "Armored column, grid 295441. Tell them to fire now." The radio operator relays the coordinates, but on the other end of the line, miles away, an artillery commander has to receive the voice command. He has to plot it on a map. He has to check if friendlies are in the zone. He has to calculate the trajectory. Then he has to radio the gun crew. Minutes tick by. In modern warfare, a minute is an eternity. On Mykola's screen, the BTR's wheels begin to turn. The column is moving. They are leaving the kill box. "They're moving!" Mykola slams his hand on the table. "Where is the fire?" "Shot is out," the radio operator finally shouts. 30 seconds later, the ground shakes. Dirt sprays into the air on the video feed. But the shell lands 200 meters behind the target. The Russians had already relocated. The BTRs disappear into the dense urban cover, safe to ambush the Ukrainian infantry later that afternoon. Mykola stares at the empty road on his screen. The drone battery warning flashes. 15% remaining. He brings the bird home, defeated not by firepower, but by time. In the back of the room, watching this scene unfold with a quiet, terrifying intensity, sits Andriy. He isn't a soldier. 3 weeks ago, he was a senior back-end developer for a logistics startup in Kyiv. He wears a fleece jacket and glasses that reflect the chaotic array of monitors stacked against the wall. Andriy isn't looking at the live feed. He is looking at the hard drives. Stacked on the floor are terabytes of data, SD cards pulled from drones, GoPro footage, Telegram uploads, CCTV rips. It is a mountain of digital intelligence, representing thousands of hours of enemy movement, and it is completely useless. The human brain cannot process it fast enough. There are too many streams, too many drones, and not enough eyes. Mykola missed the tanks because he was tired. The artillery missed because the data moved too slowly through the chain of command. Andriy realizes that while the Russians brought tanks, they are fighting a 20th century war, but the Ukrainians are trying to fight a 21st century war with 20th century tools. They are drowning in data. He pulls a laptop from his backpack and opens a terminal window. The cursor blinks. To the soldiers around him, the problem is a lack of ammunition. To Andriy, the problem is a sorting algorithm. He turns to Mykola, who is swapping the battery on his drone with shaking hands. You spent 10 minutes identifying that BTR, Andriy says, his voice cutting through the radio static. What if the drone knew what it was looking at before you did? Mykola looks up, eyes rimmed with red. I don't need a robot, Andriy. I need a shell that lands on time. That's the point, Andriy replies, typing a line of code. We don't need to shout coordinates over a radio. We need an Uber for artillery. I can automate the kill chain. Andriy looks at the raw video file from the failed strike. He takes a screenshot of the blurry BTR. He draws a bounding box around it. Label BTR 82A. He opens a new folder. Training Data Set 1. The war outside is fought with steel and fire. But in this damp basement, Andriy is about to start a war of neural networks and pattern recognition. He is going to teach a machine to hunt. April 12, 2022. A nondescript apartment block in Lviv, western Ukraine. The basement in Irpin smelled of wet earth. This room smells of burning ozone and stale energy drinks. The war here is silent, fought on the spectral battlefield of fiber optics and satellite uplinks. Andriy sits in a Herman Miller chair that was looted from his own abandoned office in Kyiv before the shelling started. He hasn't shaved in a week. His eyes are fixed on a vertically mounted monitor cascading with Python script. Epoch 450, loss 0.023, accuracy 89.4%. The neural network is learning, but it isn't learning fast enough. It's still confusing the T-64 hull with the shattered remnants of civilian sedans, Andriy mutters, rubbing his temples. The contrast is too low in the thermal spectrum. Sitting on a beanbag chair in the corner is Olena, a UI designer who used to build banking apps. Now, she builds interfaces for killing. She taps furiously on her laptop. We need more training data, Andriy. The model is overfitting on the snowy footage from March. It doesn't know what a tank looks like in the spring mud. This is the reality of the Silicon Trench. While infantry dig into the clay of the Donbass, Andriy and his team of volunteers are digging into the code. They are building the Uber for artillery, a system formerly known within military circles as GIS ARTA, but upgraded with a new voracious predator, the Vision module. The concept is terrifyingly simple. In a traditional army, intelligence flows up a chain of command, gets analyzed, authorized, and flows back down as orders. It is a pyramid. Andriy is building a flat line. We need eyes, Andriy says, standing up and pacing the small room. We have the algorithm. We don't have the data set. He opens a Telegram channel. It has 200,000 subscribers, mostly civilians, tech workers, students, grandmothers. He types a message. We need 10,000 verified images of Russian BMP 2 seconds and T-72 seconds. Top down, side profile, partial concealment. Upload to the bot, now. Within minutes, the server fans in the corner begin to whine like jet engines. The images pour in. It is the greatest crowdsourcing effort in military history. A teenager in Odessa uploads a photo of a convoy he snapped from his balcony. A farmer in Sumy sends a picture of a tank abandoned in a ditch. Drone pilots from across the front upload terabytes of raw reconnaissance footage. Andriy watches the progress bar. The system is ingesting the war. He switches his screen to the annotation tool. He sees a blurry image of a forest edge. To the untrained eye, it's just leaves. But the crowd, the thousands of Ukrainians labeling data on their phones to distract themselves from the air raid sirens, has flagged it. Pixel 405 to 480, camouflage netting. Pixel 490 to 510, gun barrel. Feed it back in, Andriy commands. They run the training loop again. This time, the computer vision model doesn't hesitate. It looks at a new, unseen video feed from a drone hovering near Kyiv. On the screen, a green bounding box snaps into existence instantly. Object T80 BVM. Confidence 94%. Coordinates 49.9935N, 36.2304E. Got you, Olena whispers. But identifying the target is only half the equation. The Uber comparison isn't just a metaphor, it is the architecture. Andriy pulls up the tactical map. It looks like Google Maps, but darker, overlaid with military grids. Link the vision module to the dispatcher, Andriy says. He types the command. The system comes alive. Now, when the AI spots a tank, it doesn't just draw a box. It creates a ride request. The passenger is the coordinate of the Russian tank. The driver is the nearest available artillery battery. The software calculates the ballistics. It checks the range of every friendly gun in the sector. It analyzes the terrain. It checks the ammo supply of the howitzers. And then it offers the mission to the gun crew that can kill the target fastest. We have a live feed coming in from the 93rd Brigade, Olena says, her voice tightening. They're asking to test the beta build. They have a situation. Andriy sits back down. His heart hammers against his ribs. This isn't code anymore. If the software crashes, people die. If the AI hallucinates and targets a school bus instead of a troop transport, that's on his soul. Patch it through, Andriy says. The main monitor flickers. The grainy grey scale of a thermal camera fills the room. We are looking down at a tree line in the Donbass. It's pitch black outside. The drone is drifting. I don't see anything, Olena says. Just trees. Andriy stares at the black void on the screen. The AI is running in the background, processing 30 frames per second. It is breaking down the video into matrices of light and shadow, comparing every pixel against the millions of images the volunteers labeled. Suddenly, the screen erupts with geometry. 3 red boxes snap onto the darkness. They are cold. They haven't fired yet. Their engines are off. To a human operator scanning a thermal camera, they are invisible, blending perfectly with the ambient temperature of the ground. But the AI noticed the unnatural straight lines of the truck beds. It noticed the specific thermal footprint of the tires, which retain heat differently than the mud. It found them, Andriy breathes. They're setting up for a barrage. Time to contact, Olena asks. Andriy looks at the server logs. The system has already processed the coordinates. It has already selected a sender. The request is out, Andriy says. Now we wait for the driver to accept. In the digital silence of the room, the distance between the code and the kill is 0. The software has done its job. Now the God of War takes over. May 2nd, 2022, 3:14 a.m. A concealed position in the tree line near Izium, eastern Ukraine. Lieutenant Victor, callsign Iron, leans against the cold steel of a 2S7 Pion self-propelled howitzer. This gun is a beast, a Soviet-era giant capable of flinging 203mm shells over 30 kilometers. It is old, heavy, and deafening. But the tablet mounted to Victor's wrist is brand new. Usually, Victor waits for the radio to crackle. He waits for a forward observer to scream coordinates through the static. He waits for his fire direction center to do the math with paper maps and protractors. In the first month of the war, that wait lasted 20 minutes. 20 minutes is enough time for a Russian column to refuel, eat lunch, and drive into the next zip code. Tonight, the radio is silent. The forest is eerily quiet, save for the hum of a Starlink dish hidden under a camouflage net nearby. Suddenly, the tablet on Victor's wrist vibrates. A harsh, digital ping cuts through the silence. He looks down. The screen, dimmed to its lowest setting, displays a notification that looks bizarrely like a ride-share alert. Fire mission received. Target, BM-21 Grad battery deploying. Priority, critical. Confidence, 96%. There is no voice on the other end. No battery, adjust fire. Just a dot on a digital map and a firing solution already calculated by the server in Lviv. The AI has analyzed the drone footage, cross-referenced the terrain data, checked the Pion's location, and determined that Victor's gun is the only one with the range and angle to make the kill. Action, Victor hisses, slapping the side of the massive hull. Coordinates loaded, charge 3, high explosive. The crew moves with practiced violence. They don't ask where the order came from. They trust the tablet. They trust the code. 300 kilometers away, in that cramped apartment in Lviv, Andriy leans closer to his monitor. The latency on the video feed is 400 milliseconds. They accepted the mission, Olena says, her voice trembling. The system routed it to the 43rd Brigade. On Andriy's screen, the thermal image of the Russian Grad battery is still silent. The enemy crews are visible now, small glowing ghosts moving around their trucks. They are cranking the elevation gears. They are preparing to unleash 40 rockets onto a sleeping Ukrainian village. They're about to fire, Andriy whispers. Come on, Victor, come on. The AI updates the status. Shot out. Back in the Izium forest, the earth heaves. The pylon fires. A tongue of flame, 30 feet long, splits the night. The recoil drives the massive tracks into the mud. The shell, weighing as much as a man, screams into the stratosphere. Now comes the math of flight time. 42 seconds. Andriy stares at the drone feed. The red bounding boxes are still locked onto the Russian trucks. The AI tracking holds steady even as the drone buffers. 30 seconds. On the screen, the Russian Grad tubes begin to lift. They are seconds away from their own launch. It is a race between a dumb rocket and a smart shell guided by an algorithm. 10 seconds. Impact imminent, the system text flashes. 5, 4, 3. The screen turns white. The thermal camera overloads as a massive heat signature blooms in the center of the Russian formation. When the sensors adjust, the geometry is gone. The straight lines of the trucks are replaced by the chaotic, organic sprawl of burning wreckage. Secondary explosions ripple outward as the Grad rockets cook off, spinning wildly into the trees, tearing the battery apart from the inside. Target destroyed. Reassessment. No further movement. In Lviv, the room is dead silent. Andriy looks at the timestamp logs. From the moment the drone camera saw the thermal signature of the truck to the moment Victor received the firing solution, exactly 3 seconds had passed. 3 seconds to process the image, identify the threat, locate the gun, calculate the ballistics, and issue the order. The Russians didn't even have time to aim. My God, Olena breathes, pushing her glasses up her nose. We just compressed the OODA loop to 0. Andriy slumps back in his chair, the adrenaline draining out of him. He looks at the code scrolling on his second monitor. It's just text, if, then, else. But out there, in the mud, it just erased a frantic enemy platoon before they knew they were being watched. The radio in the Lviv apartment chirps. It's a voice message from the front, routed through the secure chat. It's Victor. Good hit. Target neutralized. The tablet says there's another column 5 clicks east. Send it. Andriy types on his keyboard. He doesn't need to send it. The AI is already scanning the next sector. The kill list is populating itself. The Uber for artillery isn't just working, it is hungry. November 15th, 2022. A secure conference room in Brussels, NATO headquarters. The war has ground on for 9 months. Outside, the autumn rain lashes against the glass of the European political capital. Inside, the air conditioning hums a low, sterile note. A group of uniformed officers, American, British, Polish, sit around a mahogany table. They are accustomed to satellite imagery that takes hours to process, or Reaper drone feeds that require millions of dollars of infrastructure to maintain. On the projector screen at the front of the room, a Ukrainian liaison officer plugs in a ruggedized laptop. He isn't wearing a dress uniform. He is wearing a hoodie and fatigue pants. He opens a web browser. Gentlemen, the liaison says, this is the current operational picture of the Kherson front. He hits enter. The room falls silent. The map is not a static JPEG, it is a living, breathing organism. Thousands of icons pulse in real time. Blue diamonds for friendly units, red diamonds for enemy positions. But it goes deeper. Click on a red diamond, and a video window pops up footage from a drone taken 5 minutes ago. Click on a blue diamond, and you see their ammo levels, their fuel status, their Starlink signal strength. This is Delta. The liaison explains, referencing the broader ecosystem that Andri's targeting AI now feeds into. It runs on the cloud. It is accessible on any tablet, any phone, anywhere on the line. A US general leans forward, squinting. How long does it take to update a target? Instantaneously, the liaison replies. If a soldier sees a tank, he puts a pin on the map. If a drone sees it, the AI puts the pin on the map. Everyone sees everything. The general sits back, a look of uneasy realization crossing his face. The realization is stark. The scrappy, under-equipped Ukrainian forces have achieved something the trillion-dollar defense budgets of the West had spent decades chasing but never quite caught. They have achieved total information dominance. They have built a panopticon, a prison where the enemy is watched from every angle all the time. Back in Kyiv, the reality of this system is less academic and more visceral. Andriy stands on the balcony of his apartment. The city is dark, a blackout caused by Russian cruise missiles targeting the energy grid, but the cellular network is holding. He checks his phone. The app is still running. Even in the dark, the war continues on the screen. He scrolls through the logs. Since that first test in the basement in Irpin, the software has processed over 10,000 unique targets. It has directed fire for M777 howitzers, HIMARS systems and partisan mortar teams. It has compressed the kill chain so tightly that Russian artillery crews have started abandoning their guns after firing a single volley, terrified of the inevitable, mathematically precise counter-battery fire that arrives within minutes. But victory has a cost. Andriy looks at the lines of code he wrote. He sees the elegance of the logic, the purity of the computer vision algorithms. But he also knows what those lines represent. He has gamified war. By turning the battlefield into a series of icons and rideshare requests, he has made the act of killing as simple as ordering a pizza. The psychological barrier is eroded by the user interface. The artilleryman doesn't see the fear in the enemy's eyes. He sees a push notification. The drone operator doesn't hear the scream. He sees a heat signature fade to cold. Andriy shivers, though not from the cold. He realizes he hasn't just built a weapon for the defense of Ukraine. He has drafted the blueprint for the future of all conflict. The Uber for artillery won't disappear when the peace treaty is signed. It will be studied, it will be copied, it will be sold. The era of the tank maneuver is dying. The era of the algorithmic swarm has been born. He goes back inside and sits at his desk. The generator hums on the balcony. The screen glows blue in the dark room. A new notification pops up. New dataset available. Shahed 136 loitering munition. Action. Initiate training run. Andriy rubs his tired eyes. The enemy is evolving, bringing new terrors, new drones, new shapes to the sky. The software must learn again. He places his hands on the keyboard. The cursor blinks, waiting. There is no end to the code. There is only the next update, the next target, the next 3 seconds. He types,